Hey everybody, what's going on? TJ here from Midlife Karting Crisis. Got a real short video, but we did get a couple things finished up. I wanted to share that with you today.
All right, in our last video talked about getting our pipe painted, and this is our RLV4, and simply just sprayed it with some high temperature paint. It's actually a black paint that is designed for brake calipers, so it will stand up to 900 degrees, which this ought to fall well within that range, being out in the air and all. Also, ditched the hose clamps for these springs, and I'm very excited about these because I think these are going to work a lot better than the hose clamps are. They certainly aren't. I don't think they're going to damage the pipe like the other ones did. From what I've been told, it's a good idea to safety wire these together, just to have a connection in case one pops off, but also stops them from vibrating, which is, I understand, is a pretty big deal when you run springs on there. So we're going to fix that. Also got the brakes bled and functioning, which is pretty nice when you step on the pedal. The rotors are squeezed by the pads. That's fairly important. And we got the rest of the rear end put together. We got the hubs back on, measured out. They're even. Outside of that, I don't know what the track width is going to be until we put tires and wheels on it. We'll figure that out. At this point, the only thing left to go before we fire it up is we are going to need to change this counter sprocket right there. We're going to put a little tiny one on there, and something kind of pretty good size here on the back, because we're going to be going to a sprint track, a half-mile race track, which is substantially shorter than anything else we run. I think the shortest track we run on is maybe Blackhawk Farms, which is almost 1.8 miles. So usually on much larger tracks, but just to go break the motor in and make sure everything runs properly, we are going to run this out at Newcastle Motorsports Park, half-mile track, so we'll need to change the gearing. The other thing, as I mentioned yesterday, or the last video, we did get the steering finished. However, we now have all the hardware in with the appropriate safety clips. I've got 2 C-style clips and one little pin right there, but they're all good to go. And again, you can see the steering wheel is angled back a little further towards the driver than if I didn't have that spacer in there. So very excited about that. A couple of things I'm not really sure where they're going to be at, that being the brake bias. Again, adjusted on that on and off throughout the year to kind of fix some of our handling issues, which were caused again by the rear brake caliper and the piston that was seized up in it. It does appear to have front end biased, which is the way I like it. I prefer the front end to lock up before the rear end. My broadcast partner, Greg Wright, likes it just the opposite. He'd rather the cart be a little loose on entry. I'm the other way around. Everybody's going to have their own feelings on that. But that'll just be something we'll just kind of have to dial in at the racetrack. It's a pretty easy procedure. You turn it right here to adjust either front to back, back to front, whatever you need. So we are getting to the nitty gritty to where the cosmetic things, I still need to get the graphics off. That's not a huge deal. That's probably just an afternoon. I call that a 1 or a 2 beer operation, where we get the heat gun out and just kind of warm that all up a little bit and peel it off. Outside of that, we got to start the motor up, of course. So we're going to do that tomorrow is the plan. I have to make sure we have, can't remember if I put oil in there or not, so I'm going to assume there's no oil in there. If there is oil in there, I will add just a little bit. It didn't leak, it's dry on the bottom, so I know I don't have a leak, and so if there is some in there, I'm not worried about it having run out. And again, all it's going to do is sit there and run on the stand in neutral once it gets started. I'll pop it into gear to stop. In fact, I might just stop it with a choke, so I probably wouldn't have to do that, but definitely would not go out on the racetrack that way for sure. I would take the plug out, but no sense in putting fresh oil in there just to start it up and run it. We'll run it, whatever's in there will get warmed up. We'll let it run in first or second gear for a little bit just to warm that up so it'll drain out nice and clean, and we'll replace that with some fresh AMSOIL. I use anyway the road bike transmission oil. It's designed to run a little higher revolutions, a little higher RPM, so it's going to cling to the gears a little better. Was using the dirt bike oil, and Jim Perry, who builds our engines, when we took the last one apart, just said he didn't really think it was. He said it drained out of there way too fast, and it didn't cling to the parts and pieces that they set very well. So we're gonna go something that's designed for higher revving bikes, which is certainly revs much higher in this go-kart than it does when it's on a motorcycle. But of course, again, all the bearings replaced. This thing just spins so nice and quiet. Good stuff. So we're getting close, kids. Hopefully next video you see, will be of this thing running on the stand. So again, thanks for watching. Please hit the subscribe button and the notification button and all those other cool buttons. Share it with anybody you know that might get some entertainment out of watching an old fart like me trying to be a young guy and go out and race go-karts. Or anyone that might get some knowledge from this like yourself perhaps. So appreciate it, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.